after 24 rounds, Lando Norris is the Formula One World Champion. Norris wins the title in 2025.
That's it, mate. You are world champion. World champion. Well done, mate. I'm so proud. Lando, this is Zach from McLaren. Is this the world champion hotline?
Yeah.
You did it! You did it!
And after 24 rounds...
All right, good morning and welcome to today's edition of the show Scoreboard in 15 right on 32 FM 94.9. And there you listened to the finish line. That's the race that went down over the course of the weekend. And that was the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. There, of course, where Lando Norris is that's a driver's champion for the year 2025. We talk about the great things that happened over the course of the weekend from the interested world of Formula One. This man really spoke into existence, and that is one thing sports has really showed to us in a recent time, that you speak into existence, and of course these things come into materialization for many of us. This is Lando Norris, where of course he is now a world champion. Well, we'll talk about him being a Formula One driver, and in the dominance of Max Verstappen, who of course took it to the finish line. Yes, for Max Verstappen yesterday, he won the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but of course for the finish of that Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris on the podium, well, of course, also meant that it is all about the points which was there before the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and it's definitely a good one. 2 points ahead of Max Verstappen, and you tell that it's definitely a great one. We'll still take a listen to the words of Lando Norris on the show this lovely morning, to take a listen to his reaction winning the Formula One that's a driver's title, and of course the things he said in the year 2018 before winning this drivers championship. And of course we talk about football stories where for Real Madrid it is not the best of performance for them. Yesterday they had the Santiago Bernabeu, where they lost to the hands of they lost to the hands of Celta Vigo by 2-0. And you tell that Celta Vigo, that was their first victory over Real Madrid since 2014 in 26 attempts. Real Madrid, of course, lost, and of course, for Celta Vigo, they won their game yesterday. We talk about the Nigeria Premier Football League games that went down over the course of the weekend. 2 games are set to go down later today as well in the NPFL, and more in the world of European football. Rasmus Højlund, he scored twice as Napoli defeated Juventus by 2-0. For AS Roma, they lost over the course of the weekend, but you tell that for FC Barcelona, they got their victory over the course of the weekend. In English football, starting from that Saturday, Arsenal Football Club in the early kickoff, they lost to the hands of Aston Villa. They at the Villa Park by 2-1. And then Chelsea at the Vitality Stadium, the game ended 0-0. You talk about Manchester City taking advantage. They won 3-0, defeating Sunderland. They at the Etihad Stadium. And of course, for the games that went down yesterday, they at the Annex Stadium, it was a 1-1 draw between West Ham and Brighton and Hove Albion. But you tell that the other game that went down yesterday, it was that Crystal Palace who got the victory. They at the Craven Cottage at defeating that's Fulham Football Club by 2-1. Captain of the side, Maguire, with a thumping that's a strike, of course, gave them their victory, and they are in the top 4 of the English Premier League. But before we go further, you're listening to the voice of Oluwatimilei SAMIES on the program this lovely morning. We join our partners now, the BBC, to take a listen to what they have for us, and thereafter we'll talk about the interesting updates from the world of Formula One. And after the Formula One stories, we'll also discuss more about other European football stories. We are Chelsea Women's Football Club. They lost a game of football yesterday, 1-0 for the first time. That's since 2024. Well, you tell that Brian Sorensen brought an end to an historic 585-day unbeaten streak for Chelsea Football Club. But first, the BBC Premier League update.
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football.
Hello, I'm Alex Seftel at the BBC Sports Centre. Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola says it could make sense to keep substitutes indoors at next year's World Cup. It follows concerns about high temperatures in Canada, Mexico and the United States. Guardiola experienced those as a player for Spain at the World Cup in the USA in 1994.
Yeah, 94 was the United States of America. We played in Dallas one day, and wow. We were out, and maybe it would have been better to be inside, like Thomas, maybe he will decide. In some parts, I don't know, in the States, in Mexico, it happened in summertime. It's hot. A lot of irritation, a lot of drinks.
Manchester City's main focus is hosting Sunderland in the Premier League today, though their striker Erling Haaland will be excited by one of the headlines of the World Cup group stage draw. It sees his Norwegian side face Kylian Mbappe's France in what will be Haaland's major tournament debut. Arsenal could be
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football.
Hello, I'm John Wilkinson at the BBC Sports Centre. A stoppage time equaliser from Brighton stopped West Ham from moving out of the Premier League relegation zone. It finished 1-1 at the Amex. West Ham's Nuno Espirito Santo called it cruel and claimed the host's goal should have been disallowed for both a handball and a high foot.
Honestly, I don't understand. I saw it, so I'm confident that I can comment on it, and I don't understand how the goal is given.
Crystal Palace in the late game won 2-1 at Fulham. Mark Ghehey scored the late winner for Oliver Glasner's Palace, who are up to 4th in the table.
My feeling was the longer the game took, it was more likely that we win the game, and we create the chances, and then we decided to use a set play, and that's when you see our schedule, really playing game after game, and then striking back in the last 10 minutes, and this is just really amazing to watch, and credit to the players.
On Monday night, winless and bottom of the table Wolves host Manchester United. Here's their boss Rob Edwards.
Probably one or two tired bodies, but that's it, isn't it? There's a couple of games in 3 days, so that's what you expect. That everyone's in for recovery and training, and there'll obviously be a lot of disappointment around. But we were able to sort of review things and go through some areas of the game that we needed to. I think left the room with a nice bit of clarity to go forward with.
And for more football news from the BBC, go to bbc.com/football.
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football.
All right, so there you listen to the BBC Premier League update, where, of course, we have a game set to go down later today. That's in the English Premier League between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Manchester United. Well, we'll talk about Oliver Glasner and Crystal Palace. We'll come on the show later in the afternoon, as well as Mohamed Salah. Well, his interview right after their game over the course of the weekend. It said, "It seems to me that someone doesn't want me in this club." That was the words of Mohamed Salah. Those were the words of Mohamed Salah right after their 3-3 draw against Leeds. That's over the course of the weekend. But now we talk about an interesting world of Formula One, where I want us to listen to the words of Lando Norris speaking in 2018. And now his dream has come true. The words of the world champion, Lando Norris.
Champion one day.
That's my aim.
And looking to the long term, what is the ultimate ambition for you?
To get McLaren to return to winning ways. Yeah, that's my dream, and I want to win championships with McLaren. So we've got a bit of a journey to go through, I think, till we get to that point. But winning world championships, that is the dream. So yeah, I need to work hard to try and get to that point.
Lando Norris, you are a world champion. The world champion.
Oh God, I've not cried in a while. I didn't think I would cry, but I did. It's a long journey. It's a long journey. First of all, I want to say a big thanks to my guys, everyone in McLaren, my parents. I'm not crying. Yeah, my mum, my dad. You know, they're the ones who supported me since the beginning. So, I look like a loser.
You look like a winner to me. Lando Norris,
All right, there you listen to the words of a champion, Lando Norris. Emotional. That's from him on the circuit in Abu Dhabi. A tearful Lando Norris, of course, won his first Formula One Drivers' Championship by securing the third place it needed in the season-ending Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And the 26-year-old took the title by 2 points from Red Bull's Max Verstappen, who, of course, won the last 4 races of the 2025 calendar year, and of course ahead of his teammate, that's Oscar Piastri. But we'll take a look at the standing of the race yesterday. It was, of course, for the results that went down yesterday there in Abu Dhabi. Max Verstappen finished first, Oscar Piastri finished second, and that's Lando Norris finished third. And you take a look at the total standing: 423 points for Lando Norris of the McLaren, and for the Max Verstappen's Red Bull, 421 points. Oscar Piastri finished with 410 points. And you tell that it's definitely a season-defining moment for Lando Norris as well as the McLaren. They have a driver winning the Drivers' Championship. And forget not that months ago, they won the Constructors' Championship there in the world of Formula One. So now, we look at the bigger picture, 2026. What should we expect from McLaren? And of course, how would they go further in their pick for a driver in the 2026 Formula One season? But also, we talk about the shambolic performance of Lewis Hamilton there in the colors of the Ferrari, where we come later in the afternoon. But let's switch away from that and talk about some other football stories. We are in Spain. Well, it was not a victory for Real Madrid. They lost 2-0, and they've lost one defender, that's Militao. He was first off injured in the first half of Real Madrid's 2-0 defeat to Celta Vigo. Well, of course, while in Italy, Rasmus Højlund scored both goals as Napoli went top of the Serie A, standing with a 2-1 victory over Juventus. And remember, over the course of the weekend for Inter Milan, they defeated Como by 4-3. But we look at the standings now there in the Italian Serie A. Napoli, top of the pile with 31 points. Inter Milan, second with 30 points. AC Milan are third with 28 points. And yes, Roma, after their defeat, they are fourth with 27 points. And you look at the other standings. We remember we have UEFA Champions League games also set to go down later today there in the world of later this week rather there in the world of football. But now we talk about women's football in the WSL. For Chelsea, they lost 1-0 to the hands of Everton. Manchester City yesterday defeated Leicester by 3-0. Manchester United defeated West Ham 2-1. Brighton and Hove Albion defeated the London women by 1-0. Tottenham defeated Aston Villa 2-1. And Arsenal defeated Liverpool by 2-1. Where Liverpool's former player Smith was on target in that encounter. And we look at the standing also in the Women's Super League. It is whose title to lose now in the Women's Super League, where Manchester City, they are top with 27 points, and Chelsea, they are second with 21 points. Can we see Manchester City displace Chelsea Women's Football Club, whom, of course, they've won the Women's Championship for the last 7 years? All right, in the Nigeria Premier Football League, Remo Stars defeated the Yimba 2-1 yesterday at the MKO Abiola Stadium there in Abeokuta. Wiki Tourist and Ikorodu City 0-0. Kwara United defeated Niger Tornadoes by 2-0. Enugu Rangers got the better of Bayelsa United 4-1, while Rivers United and Abia Warriors 1-1. Plateau and Warri Wolves, the game also ended 1-1. But later today, we would have Nasarawa United face off against Shooting Stars. Katsina United will be up against Bendel Insurance. But this is how far we can go in today's edition of the show. We'll come later in the afternoon to take a look at other developing stories making the rounds there in the world of sports. Reaction from everything that happened over the course of the weekend, the Formula One and Mohamed Salah post-match interview after their 3-3 draw against Leeds United. I am SAMIES, your sports captain. Do enjoy the rest of your day, and bye for now.
32 FM 94.9.